Hello, everyone. My name is Jennifer. Welcome to my channel, which will focus on type 1 diabetes and the BCG vaccine and our quest to get and eventually get it for our son who has type 1 diabetes. So I'll first start out in this video with our diagnosis story. So our son is 11. He turned 11 back in August of 2021, and he was diagnosed in May of 2021, so right before his 11th birthday. So we noticed the usual signs: the frequent urination, frequent thirst, rapid weight loss, irritability. And we took him to the doctor. They gave him a blood glucose test. His blood glucose was 516 3 hours after eating lunch. So they sent us to the hospital where they did all the blood work, and we stayed for a couple of nights. And they confirmed he had type 1 diabetes. So just for reference, for some statistics, his fasting C-peptide level at diagnosis was 0.4. It's supposed to be between 0.8 and 3. His A1C was 11.2, should be well under 6. And he had 3 of the 4 autoantibodies for type 1. So a very large amount of zinc transporter autoantibodies, a smaller amounts of GAD and IA2, and negative for insulin resistance. Celiac was negative, and Hashimoto's had a small amount, but no symptoms, and all his thyroid levels are normal, thankfully. So we left the hospital, again, for reference in terms of insulin needs. He was on about 7 units of long-acting. We're using Lantus, and an insulin-to-carb ratio, ICR, of 30 to 1. So he kind of bounced around between 7 and 9 for a couple of weeks. He was down to 7, 6 when the summer came along. Was mostly 6, due to lots of activity and maybe a little bit of a honeymoon. And then by the time school started, we were really at 8 Lantus, maybe 7 sometimes if he was doing well, mostly 8. And then his insulin-to-carb ratio moved down a little bit to 25 to 1. So in terms of the BCG, we met with another family whose son had type 1 for a couple of years. This is a little bit older than Jacob. And they told us about the ongoing research for type 1 and BCG. So we went and did our own research and saw that there had been some success with studies, both in the US with older patients, as well as a Turkish study which used 2 or 3 doses of BCG Russia to prevent type 1 diabetes. There was an Israeli study in the 90s which used the BCG Connaught, only 1 dose though, which had a good effect on some recent onset children. And then again, the US studies that have been ongoing. And BCG is a very safe 100-year-old tuberculosis vaccine given to over 300 million people around the world, including 100 million newborns. It is not really given in the Western world, particularly the US. And the US, the only strain approved is BCG Tice, and that is used also mostly in the US to treat bladder cancer. And then again, there's some other studies for multiple sclerosis that have been successful, as well as other autoimmune diseases like, ulcers in your mouth. If you get 2 or 3 shots of that, apparently those go away as well. So we wanted to get the BCG for our son, given that we had talked to several doctors who said, well, there's no downside if you either go into trial or get it, because again, it's very safe, 100-year-old, 300 million doses given every year. So in the age of COVID, I think it's hard to travel, hard to get it, and then which strain do we use? So we met somebody on the internet, on Facebook, who had posted his daughter's chart, and I marveled at how amazing it was. And so the father said, well, I got her the BCG, and I immediately messaged him and said, well, how did you get it? And he's told me that his company, Medico, Mycomedico, was giving it in Mexico City. They found a doctor to do it, and both he and his daughter had gotten 2 doses. So I will tell you in the next video how we went about and to get it through him, through Myco, and our results.